Hi, and a big warm welcome to all of you. This is Lyra with Astrology by Lyra, here to discuss the Pisces new moon on March 2nd, 2022. And first of all, I want to thank all of you who have followed me from Instagram over to here to YouTube, this new platform that I have. And a big warm welcome to those that are entirely new to me, just listening anew. I'm going to be talking about the Pisces new moon, and just so you know, I last month I came in video format. This month I am finding myself needing to try out this format because my phone is out of out of space, and I couldn't figure out how to delete or completely delete the 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 used up space to be able to do a video face to face with you. And so here I am doing a audio only and with a visual that I think is very appropriate for this Pisces new moon, with it kind of being underwater, Pisces being the ruler of water and taking us into the depths of the emotional realm and into the spiritual realm as well. So, before I get into this Pisces new moon and what this next month ahead of us has in store for us as far as an evolutionary intent, as far as upgrades, I thought it would be good to just review what happened last month with the Aquarius new moon cycle that began on February 1st and ran all, or sorry, I think it was the second. No, it was the first, and ran all the way through to March 1st. That last Aquarius new moon and really called for, it was a deeply transformative Aquarius moon cycle, because it was not just the Aquarius new moon with its major transits that happened during it, but it was also what I call the midpoint of the last set of eclipses, the 3 month mark of the 6 month eclipse cycle that runs from November all the way to April. And that last set of eclipses really said or indicated that we were moving into not only unprecedented extreme times, but that we would be deeply transforming through the process. Things were going to dramatically shift over the course of this eclipse. And for me, the midpoint of the eclipse really starts to bring in the tangible breakthroughs of what the eclipse is called for. So it was a profound month last month, a month that called out a deeper part of ourselves that wanted to be expressed. I called it the month of rediscovering our essentiality, our soul purpose, our soul mission, uh, something, a deeper part of us wanting to surface up or coming to the surface. Now, we should really have started to feel this solidify over the last week with the last quarter moon. Always in the week of the last quarter moon, the last week of any moon cycle, is when we start to see the harvests of what the new moon called for just 4 weeks before. So the new moon on Aquarius, the Aquarius new moon, all about rediscovering our sense of essentiality over the last few days, kind of feeling this new sense of self coming through that wants to be expressed. And we now take these harvests from last month into this Pisces new moon, uh, and this cycle that runs through all the way through to March 31st. And we get prepared for yet another month of upgrades. So let me get into what Pisces and Pisces season, and especially what this Pisces new moon is about. Pisces season always has us kind of in more reflective states. We could be feeling more nostalgic during this time, more sensitive, more emotionally sensitive, more compassionate, more imaginative and creative, and kind of wanting to retreat from the world. It can also make us feel a little bit confused. It can bring in fears and more addictive behaviors or escapist behaviors if we're not grounded into some sort of spiritual ritual or practice or healthy outlet for this more kind of blurred out state. Now, this Pisces new moon has its own kind of unique flavor to it, and I'm going to be talking about the unique aspects that come with this Pisces new moon. The first of which, this Pisces new moon is happening at 12 degrees of Pisces. It is happening in very close conjunction to both Jupiter, a 2-degree conjunction to Jupiter, and a 10-degree conjunction to Neptune, both of which are rulers of Pisces, which magnifies this Piscean energy even more. This need to retreat, this need to reflect and go within and refortify ourselves spiritually. So with that in mind, we also have this new moon in a semi-square to Venus, Mars, and Pluto that are now very in their own conjunction in the sky in the sign of Capricorn. Now, I spoke about Venus and Mars being in a conjunction last month, and they really started to come very close together in the sky, something very rare to happen for such a prolonged time, since February 12th. And they have continued to be in very close conjunction, very much related to Venus being retrograde and slowing down so that Mars can basically keep up with her. So what that energy in itself brings is this passion and intensity to projects or relationships that we have. And now these two have come, are inching ever closer to Pluto. They will actually come in exact conjunction tomorrow, March 3rd, with Pluto, which kind of brings an even more sense of profundity to it. It's a death and rebirth of whatever we've been working on since February 12th, whatever has been kind of coming into our lives as a passionate interest and super boosting it. It's kind of like a death and rebirth. It can expose things, but only to reunify them in a more profound way. So we'll definitely want to pay attention to what's taking place tomorrow. But this intensity that we're feeling, this conjunction with Venus, Mars, and Pluto, is in what's called a semi-square, a 45-degree angle to this new moon, this Pisces new moon. And so what we could be feeling as we enter this Pisces new moon is this pressure that's looming within us. This pressure that is actually a blessing in disguise, calling us to retreat, to go within. And hopefully we're doing that. Hopefully we're not escaping this divine calling to go within, to reflect, because that can also then create its own sort of problems of maybe criticizing ourselves or others more, maybe acting in disruptive ways, rebellious ways to situations, and of course creating their own karmic implications from that. But if we go within to kind of find the answers, kind of needing to regroup and recenter from all this pressure, that's actually where the universe is calling to go within, to step back, to retreat in order to kind of be able to take in this higher perspective of things that are going on. Now, some of the themes of this Pisces new moon and what we're going to be working on from now through to March 18th, the Virgo Full Moon, which is always the time where we start to feel the breakthroughs in regards to manifestations of intentions that we set at the time of the new moon. And again, the new moon is always a great time to set intentions and pay attention as things start to unfold or over these next 2 weeks, and then kind of seeing how our intentions are manifesting from the full moon onto the last 2 weeks building up to the next new moon. So so again, some of the things that we are going to be experiencing. Maybe a call to go within, but a call to go within in order to kind of get innovative downloads or ideas or higher guidance in regards to breaking free from this kind of boxed in feeling that we're getting, this looming pressure, um, and be able to release it in a more positive way rather than reacting to it right now. It's also a time that we are called to step back, to sort fact from fiction. Certainly we're seeing a lot of things play out in the collective, and maybe needing to take a step back, get away from daily reality to kind of get higher vision of everything that's going on, maybe intuitive vision of what's going on. And speaking about intuition, Pisces season always helps us anchor in a stronger sense of intuition by reconnecting and refortifying our connection to our creativity, that divine inspiration that comes through, downloads, messages, synchronicities, signs, messages from dreams, all that sort of thing. This is a beautiful time to step away and to create and to get creative and to engage in more reflective, imaginative spaces in order to bring that in, to ground that in at the time of the Virgo full moon. So we have a lot going on this week. I highly recommend paying attention to whatever is seeding in your life starting now around the time of this new moon. It is always at the time of the new moon that new things, new characters, new situations get seeded. And rather than react to them, we want to take note of them and consider them almost sacred to our evolutionary journey. Whatever happens around the time of the new moon is usually with us or unfolds over the course of the month. So we want to kind of take note of these things. Now I have what's called a synchronicity log on the homepage of my website. At the very top of my website, there's a button there that says synchronicity log. You can click on that, you can download it, it's free, and you can start noting the things that are taking place. And there's also an area where you can set intentions on the second page, or if you're printing it, double-sided on the back page of it, so that you can keep those with you as you journal throughout the month. So again, pay attention to things that are seeded, especially what's seeding tomorrow, March 3rd, with the Venus-Mars conjunction, meeting up with Pluto, deeply transforming, maybe exposing areas where there's weaknesses that need to be kind of shifted and changed or transformed in order to come back more solidly, and that we can work with more solidly going forward. Also, next week, the week of the first quarter moon, which begins on March 10th, and with the understanding that the first quarter moon week, so from March 10th through the 17th, is usually the more challenging week. It calls us to take action when it comes to subconscious blocks that are blocking us from our intentions. And that's always work, the shadow work, the shadow work that we must do within, where we recognize these patterns of behavior that have probably been with us throughout much of our lives, that are no longer serving us, that are stopping us from shifting into higher timelines. And that could be in regards to things related to both Pisces and Venus on our chart. Where have we deluded ourselves? Where have we not shown compassion with others? Where are we criticizing or being too into the detail of things? Where are we missing the opportunity to connect at a deeper level with a more divine source, a higher vision as to why everything is folding? It's also a great time to reconnect with things like the law of attraction and the magic of synchronicity that's taking place in our lives. Again, anything seeding at the time of the new moon we want to hold this kind of sacred. And we, rather than ask if it's a negative experience, rather than ask, why is this happening? What is it trying to show me, especially in relation to this Pisces moon cycle that's calling me to see a higher perspective, to ground in a higher perspective throughout the course of this moon cycle. Now, it's important to note that Pisces season is always a transitionary season. It transitions us from one astrological year to the next. And for me, the astrological new year always begins at the spring equinox, which is when the sun moves into Aries on March 20th of every year. And it is always in Aries season that we kind of get that passion and fire to ignite, to initiate projects. It's a great time in Aries season, in April, this particular, with the Aries new moon on April 1st, to then be ready to initiate projects from that sense of purpose that we gathered. This month will kind of come into a sense of refinement, a bigger purpose than what it was even just days ago. And then in April, it is when we can then be more in the flow to initiate projects from, or initiate relations or new beginnings with. So as far as key dates over these next 2 weeks, one, March 3rd, again, pay attention to what takes place, but also March 10th, the first quarter moon, which initiates us into those challenging times. And pay attention to what takes place on March 10th. On March 10th, on top of it being the first quarter moon, we're also going to have Mercury move from the sign of Aquarius into the sign of Pisces. And that can feel really jolting to the way we communicate, the way that we take in the world, the way that we view the world. This is quite significant of a transition. And so what it might feel like, well, Mercury in Aquarius is very fast moving, being able to connect dots in our minds and conversations with logic and reasoning at a very fast pace. When the moon moves in, when the Mercury moves into Pisces, this shifts. It's kind of like feeling like the electrical cord just got plunged into the water, and it can feel jolting at first. But what it asks us to do, then our minds, the way they work at optimum levels, is through compassion, through intuition, through paying attention to things from an intuitive mindset rather than a more logical one. And just 2 days after that, on March 12th, we have the Sun conjuncting Neptune. And this is an opportunity to experience kind of a divine unfolding, if we're open to it, if we're not escaping into either codependent or addictive behaviors, if we're paying attention to things that are unfolding and kind of the signs and synchronicities, this can be a very magical time, one that forever changes us. And so pay attention to what takes place on March 23rd in the week of facing challenges, one that's always will be calling us deeper within to really note kind of the divine synchronicity of all that is playing out in our realities. Now, fear can be something that is a real thing for us, and fear, as we know it, is fear. It's a false evidence appearing real. It really means that we can be in such we can delude ourselves, especially when we allow our minds to run away with all the things that are wrong, and that's the Virgo part of our minds, and really nitpicking on details and being critical, especially critical to reality, or falling into worry and anxiety, something that Virgo is about, and maybe not having the proper protocols in place to support ourselves to kind of have a more balanced mind, body, and soul. And So fear can be a tangible thing, especially with things that are playing out in greater reality. So what we want to do is, again, use some go within, support ourselves with some daily practices and routines that help us feel more balanced inside. And so meditation being one of these things, binaural beats, what you hear in the background, maybe going for a walk, allowing music and creativity to kind of bring you into more calmer states. Very, very useful over these next 2 weeks. Okay, I just want to make a slight correction to the date I just gave just a little back ago. I mentioned March 23rd. The date is March 12th to watch out for in regards to that Sun conjunct Neptune. It's bringing kind of like this synchronistic unfolding as part of the challenges that we must face, but very synchronistic to watch out for and note. Again, noting not why is this happening to me, but what is this trying to show me if it's presenting in a more negative kind of way. There's something that we are embodying as an experience that kind of tells us that there is some higher power working through us. Now, if you want more daily reminders of the transits and kind of like support going as we go through each of the moon cycles, I do have 2 membership plans, both of which come with a 7-day free trial, no obligation to pay anything. You can check it out. And both come, again, with access to my Telegram channel with daily updates and reminders of all the transits that are coming through and navigational tips, and both of which also come with access to a month ahead report where I go into further detail, more so than what I do here, in regards to everything that's playing out over the month, a better understanding of the energies and key dates and astrological happenings. So you can join just the basics just to get those 2, but if you wanted to go even further, if you have an interest in astrology, if you are in the knowing that you are on this spiritual awakening and want more support, then I have what's called the Full Access Program. And with that, in addition to what you get on Just the Basics, I offer access to 4 weekly recordings. One is a deeper dive into the transits and day-by-day play of what's going on. And I do so in a way that can also, if you're interested in learning more about astrology, that you can easily follow along with how I am interpreting the transits. This also comes with a mini course in astrology where I go into the archetypes of each moon cycle. So for example, in this moon cycle, I'm talking about Pisces, and I'm talking about the rulers of Pisces, both Neptune and Jupiter, at a deeper level, so that you can start to feel more comfortable with the understanding, the basic understanding of astrology. In the Full Access group, I also offer what's called a Your Personal Journey video that's specific to the awakening journey and gives you navigational tips on how to prepare and what to look for, and to really kind of center yourself within this whole idea of seeing everything play out in the present moment as part of your journey, whether good or bad, or whether our minds want to deem them good or bad. And in this video, I also do a weekly tarot card spread, as well as offer up my own experiences throughout my spiritual awakening journey that really started back in 2008. And last but not least, on the Full Access group, because everything is a reflection of what's going on within us, I do go over global news and try to bring more sense to it, and as, again, a reflection of what's going on within us. And of course, there's quite a lot going on. So if you're interested in getting more support, going deeper into astrology, needing more support on your spiritual awakening, then please do check them out. Again, they do come with a 7-day free trial, so you can check it out with no obligation. It will ask you to put your payment information, but you can cancel with any time within those 7 days. And I do send out a notification to let you know when that 7 days is up, so that you can just know, okay, I might need to cancel, I'm not interested in this, or I'm going to continue on. But with that, I wish all of you a beautiful, blessed Pisces new moon. And I'm going to finish it off with the Sabian symbol, or the message that comes with 12 degrees of Pisces. And that is for this Pisces new moon. And that is, through the effectual use of his will, a consecrated man can become a symbol of courage for all those who follow in his footsteps. Really saying, put in the work, guys, because this moon cycle can prove to be one that brings magic and a sense of just knowing that you are on the right path. Make sure to do the work this month. All right. Bye for now.